Welcome to part 1 of the West Yorkshire Spinners Springtime Blanket Crochet Along. I am Chloe Elizabeth Birch, the designer of this blanket, here to introduce you to part 1 and what we'll be making together. If you haven't already, you can download the free pattern on the West Yorkshire Spinners website, then you are all ready to get started. This week we'll be making the first 4 panels. Starting with the daffodil ones here, we will make 2 of these, and then going on to make the 2 longer tulip panels here. Each motif is created using tapestry crochet, which I will give you a quick tutorial on how to do. First in part 1 we will work the 2 daffodil panels. This panel is made up of 1 chart. You will start working up the stem section and the first part of the flower using 2 colour tapestry crochet, before working the centre in 3 colour tapestry crochet, going back to using 2 colours to complete the flower. Once your panel is complete, you will then work the border in shade C. Next in part 1 we will work 2 tulip panels as shown here in the blanket. This panel is made up of 2 charts which are the reverse of each other. You will start with chart 2 working up the stem section in 2 colour tapestry crochet, before working the head of the tulip in 3 colour tapestry crochet. You will then reverse this for chart 3. Once your panel is complete, you will then work the border in shade E. For each panel you'll be working from a chart like this one here for the daffodil panels. When working from a chart, always remember to work from right to left when you're working a right side row and left to right when you're working a wrong side row. Following the first row of this chart, I want to work 7 stitches in colour A, which I'll do now. So working into this last stitch, we are going to work our double crochet as normal, inserting our hook into the stitch, yarn over and pulling through. Now this is where we pause. Rather than continuing as usual, working another yarn over and pulling through to finish the stitch, this is where we want to bring in our second colour. Here I am bringing in the second colour. I'm laying it over the hook to use the last yarn over to complete the stitch. Now I'm pulling that second colour through, completing our last stitch before the colour change of the chart, and as you can see the new colour is ready to work. We now have 2 colours in work at the same time. This is where we start our tapestry crochet. To do this we are working in double crochet as usual, with the difference being that we are encasing the colour not in use as we go along. As you can see, I'm just working a classic double crochet, but rather than just working through the stitch, I am also working over the yarn not in use, therefore encasing it in the work. This is also a great way to hide the ends when you are joining new colours, as I am doing here. Now you will follow the chart, working as many stitches as needed in the second colour. Again, pausing before you're finishing the last stitch before the colour change. Now we're working the same as we did the first time, stopping before the last yarn over, changing back to our first colour and pulling through, ready to use our first colour again. You can see I'm now doing the same again, using our first colour, working in double crochet, while at the same time encasing the second colour within the stitch. Following the chart you will work in this way throughout, changing colour on the last yarn over before the colour change, and always encasing the colour not in use within the stitch. As you can see here, I have worked the first row of the chart, encasing the colour not in use within the stitch, as well as our end from the colour change, which we can now cut off. Now I have worked further up the chart, so you can see our tapestry crochet better. When I turn the work to the wrong side, you can see it looks just as good as the right side. At some points when working from the charts, you'll be using 3 colours within one row. To do this, you will work exactly as before, but rather than encasing 1 colour within the stitch, you'll be encasing 2, just as I'm doing here with the heads of our daffodils. This colour is added while working on a wrong side row, as you can see here, so I have placed the end at the front rather than the back of work. You can either encase it within the stitch as I showed you before, or leave out and sew in at the end if you prefer. And here is our completed chart worked in tapestry crochet. Once you have completed each panel, you will then work a border around it. To do this, you begin at the top right hand side of your panel. Joining the correct colour to the first stitch, you will double crochet into each stitch along the row. Once you have reached the last stitch, chain 2 to create the corner. You will then turn the panel 90 degrees to work along the side edge and into the row ends. For each panel, the pattern will specify how many stitches you need to work along this side. A little tip here, the amount of stitches needed will be less than the amount of rows, so make sure not to work into every row and to place the stitches evenly along the edge. Once you get to the next corner, you will work a chain 2 just as before, and continue as so along the 2 remaining edges, finally joining the round together with a slip stitch. Now you have worked your first round, turn the work to the wrong side. Beginning with the corner, 1 double crochet, 1 chain, 1 double crochet into the 2 chain space. Then double crochet into each stitch to the next corner, and repeat as so, working a double crochet into each stitch and 1 double crochet, 1 chain, 1 double crochet into each corner chain space. Finally finish the round with a slip stitch, fasten off and your panel is complete. And here is our completed border. Enjoy making part 1 of the blanket, and I will see you next week for part 2, where we'll be making the hyacinth and bluebell panels.